Hi, and welcome to our second YouTube live event for business owners and sales leaders in small to medium-sized automotive companies. It's time to make sure your sales team understands the sales process is changing. And this event is about letting you know how to update your own sales process to ensure success. So I'm the commercial director at the Tree Group, and we're a sales agency that helps small to medium-sized automotive companies improve sales. I've worked in sales and marketing for 23 years. My first brand manager role was back at GPR Direct at Silverstone, where I ran the motorcycle division of Brembo Racing UK. I took the department from £80,000 to around £800,000 in 4 years. And that included building a reseller network from scratch and converting all but one of the teams in the British Superbike Championship to running Brembo brakes. I then progressed to ProDrive, Aston Martin Racing and JRM. And between ProDrive and AMR, I ran a marketing agency for 4 years that allowed me to bring a lot of new ideas and approaches back into automotive and sales. On the screen, you'll see my social media profiles. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or follow me on Twitter. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping notes. This event is aimed at helping small to medium-sized automotive companies to sell their products and services. When we're selling for our clients, we're helping them get in front of engineers, designers, purchasing business owners and MDs that typically work for vehicle manufacturers, special vehicle departments, and dealer networks and resellers. When we talk about the modern buyer, we basically mean any decision maker in a company. If you have any questions, you can use the live chat area, then I'll review at the end of the event. And lastly, you can expect this event to run for around 30 minutes. So I'm going to start by defining who is the modern buyer. Then I'll give a summary of the old school legacy sales process before moving on to the modern inbound sales process. And lastly, I'll wrap up with the proof of our own sales activity using this approach. To kick off our live event today, we're going to dive into the modern buyer. What makes somebody a modern buyer? And then we'll talk about how this ties into the sales process. Let's all say it together. Today's buyer has all the power. We're all the person with the keys. It's a hard pill to swallow, admitting you don't have control. But once you do, you can really start to level the playing field. Think about this for yourself. When was the last time that you were actually caught by a cold call? If you get lots of cold calls, you know how bad they can be. How many unsolicited emails do you actually open and read? I suspect if you're like me, you avoid as many as possible. For every competitive space, there's a product or review site out there. For even the most niche of industries like automotive and motorsport, there are a dozen active online groups and forums. We have the information and we start the buying process. Just like this Think with Google study found that today's business buyers do not contact suppliers directly until 57% of the purchase process is complete. But this shouldn't come as a shock to anyone because we're all modern buyers. Yet most sales teams in automotive are trying to sell modern buyers with a legacy sales process. Just think about your own buyer journeys for the products and services you've purchased. I know personally I've tried to avoid salespeople as long as possible. I conduct my own research, check websites, read reviews, etc. Trying to sell to modern buyers with a legacy sales process is like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It just isn't efficient or effective. Something's got to change. So let's take a look at the legacy sales process. A legacy sales process is based on seller actions such as qualify, demo, close. For the following slides, we're going to talk about the legacy sales process in terms of source, connect, qualify, and close. You can see exactly what we're talking about and where we're referring to in the process. In the legacy sales process, legacy salespeople typically prospect buyers researching their particular product in their specific sales territory. Legacy salespeople connect by mass emailing and calling with the same generic message to all of their prospects. Generic is the key word here. To qualify and close, legacy salespeople use the same generic demo with the same generic examples and case studies, not typically relevant to each of their prospects. Legacy salespeople are focused on speed, trying to qualify and close prospects as quickly as possible so they can hit their target for that particular month. There's nothing wrong with wanting and needing to hit your sales target. We're all under pressure, but there's a better way to do it. But as we know, these legacy sales tactics are less and less effective in the age of the modern buyer. I talk to a lot of automotive business owners who have built companies with a great reputation. However, they tell me they just can't rely on word of mouth and repeat business any longer, and they need to do something different to sustain what they have and attract new clients. Now, I've used a picture of books and reading glasses as I felt like a good fit for old school. Personally, I love reading physical books, but when I'm selling, it's not about me, it's about the buyer. So, how have sales teams responded? Good, not sure, bad. Well, we've seen sales teams try to find ways to increase their sales by finding more people, sending more emails, and making more cold calls. They've tried to find tools that will help them. And believe me, there are a lot of tools out there. Just log on to Product Hunt and you'll see dozens of these every day. Finding ways to do more of the same thing faster doesn't necessarily yield better results. It doesn't even yield more of the same results. It seems logical that finding a way to scale up something that you know can work would hopefully scale up your results. If sending 1,000 emails a month is just barely helping you generate 10 deals, it's tempting to think that sending 10,000 emails a month would result in 100 deals. But the fact is, that's rarely how it works, and it can just give you a bad reputation, especially in the niche industry of automotive. There's a problem with all of the tools out there. They're trying to help you find new ways to do the same thing faster. They aren't looking at the big picture. This quote from Henry Ford sums it up perfectly. He said, "If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses." Love it. Nice. This is something that we think about a lot. So, what's the alternative? There are many possible answers to this, but we really think that it's important to go back to the buyer and to put their needs first in the sales process. This is a more concise way of saying it. Sell unto others as you would have them sell unto you. So what's the opposite of a legacy sales process? What do we call a sales process that puts the buyer first, a process that elevates their needs and their voice? We think of that as being an inbound sales process. The next step doesn't happen until progress is instigated by the buyer. If you have to approach people cold, do your research, find a trigger event, have a reason to contact them, and don't just send a generic sales email that's easy to delete, we've been there. Pure cold is difficult. We're always updating our process to improve. So what we're going through now is the journey we're on as a sales agency. Context about who that buyer is. Context about that buyer's interests, their needs and their wants, etc. Where does all of that context come from? In an inbound sales process, it's captured automatically in real time which we'll illustrate in a moment. As your prospect navigates through your website, as your team corresponds with them, it's all collected, organized, and presented back to the sales rep when they need it. This is also hugely useful because it makes coaching your sales team that much easier. Managers and salespeople can sit down, drill in together, and talk through some recent examples of how a sales rep responded to a certain signal from a prospect. It's much more formulaic and measurable. The last sort of core principle here is that an inbound sales process merges with marketing activity. Because salespeople are taking context about a prospect, about their interests, about their journey so far into account, the sales process feels like a natural continuation. Now, let's take a look more specifically at the steps in the sales process. And as we're doing that, I'll talk at a high level about new tools that actually support an inbound sales process. So how many of you have some kind of documented sales process or methodology your sales team follows? For the next few slides, we're going to dive into specific tools that can help your company bring an inbound sales process to life. We're a HubSpot sales partner, so I'm going to showcase how we use their sales products to accomplish an inbound sales process for the small to medium-sized automotive clients that we work with. The ideal scenario is that sales teams are kept busy calling inbound leads or passive buyers because they have a real reason to contact them. What percentage of your sales rep's time is spent prospecting, i.e. being proactive and finding your ideal customers? Is it 20%, 50%, 0%? Think about what would happen if your sales reps could dive right into qualified leads. HubSpot has a prospects tool within their sales platform. When people visit your website, we can see what companies they work for. It provides information into the number of visitors to your website and the pages they've viewed. These people are explicitly showing signs of interest in your company. We call them inbound companies. The example on the screen is a live screenshot from one of our clients. The prospects tool has the ability to filter results. You can see I've done a basic filter just to show automotive companies viewing the website. We do a weekly check of the prospects tool to find companies that are ideal customers. If there are repeat visits from a company, that's already a lead. We update the sales team as this is now a reason for them to make contact with the people they're pitching to. Alternatively, if new companies come to the website, we take time to find the decision makers at those companies, then approach them already knowing what's been researched. It means no more pure cold calling, but calling for the first time with context and relevance. They came to the website for a reason. Approaching them in the right way will start a sales conversation much earlier than waiting for them to make contact, which might actually never happen. It's about contacting interested visitors so visitors can learn and buy on their own terms. HubSpot Messages, which is part of HubSpot Sales Pro, allows interested prospects to get in touch with you while they're on your website. Messages puts a friendly face and an easy way to get help or book a meeting on your product pages, pricing page, or any other part of your website. Remember, the visitor has complete control to respond to the chat. So if they're ready or have questions, they can instantly connect with the sales rep. This makes the visitor feel like the experience is in their own control. This channel will get you in contact with your prospects much earlier in their buying journey than if they were to send a message through your contact page or to a sales email address or phone number. It's more approachable and removes a barrier from contacting you. Instead of throwing out generic messages and hoping the message resonates with one or two people, now that we know what our prospects are interested in, our first approach to them can be tailored specifically to their needs and interests. We use HubSpot CRM and Sales Pro to set up customizable email templates. This saves time typing out every email from scratch. It automatically inserts details from the CRM, such as the person's first name, company name, job title, and allows us to spend more time crafting an email to each individual person. No need for mass generic emails, but instead we can do personalized and contextual one-to-one emails en masse. The screenshot on the left shows an example of a contact in HubSpot CRM, where we can see all activity of that contact, what documents they've viewed, and even what pages they've looked at in those documents, what emails they've opened, what links in emails they've clicked, what phone calls we've made to them, and if we connected or left a message. This we can all see live. The screenshot on the right shows the start of a sales campaign. HubSpot calls them sequences. So sequences are multi-stage sales campaigns made up of a maximum of 5 different email templates, plus as many tasks as we want, all fully customizable and sent one-to-one to each lead. We send the campaign and HubSpot automatically sends all other steps until we get a reply. When we build sales campaigns, we normally start with some social media activity, then an email in week 1, a different email in week 2, a task to call in week 3, a different email in week 4, a different email in week 5, and a task to call in week 6, and finish with a different email in week 7 or a task to engage on social media. The beauty of sequences is that we don't need to remember to follow up. We'll then use our experience of selling for automotive companies to know the best way to use content and different styles of email writing to make sure we add value to the people that we approach, using different channels so it feels natural, and most importantly, tailoring each piece of outreach so it's relevant to each person. Lastly, we monitor the performance of every email template and sequence to make sure we optimize our emails to get opened and replied. I'd like to note that we still use email marketing in the form of a monthly email newsletter, and this is a great idea. It's a different channel and format of communication. We normally see email newsletters as a soft sell approach to keep in touch, once a month with the latest updates, general news. We monitor who clicks what links in each email campaign and use that as another reason to contact them with relevant emails and calls. I love this feature. It's called meetings. So it's another part of HubSpot sales. You can allow the modern buyer to pick a time to speak that works for them, putting the ball in their court and making it very easy to book time with a sales rep without having to waste time bouncing emails back and forth trying to find a date. Meetings integrates directly with your Outlook and Google calendars. You choose when to allow meetings, if you want a minimum notice period, and a buffer before and after meetings. Then you just keep your calendar up to date and the meetings app will show when you're available. You can easily include booking links in emails, on your website, or even in LinkedIn messages. Next step, instead of running generic sales process with the goal of closing as quickly as possible, there's a way for you to cater content to your prospects, because really, what's worse than receiving content that you really don't care about? Having a central document area makes it easy for everybody to find content without wasting time. Add that content into sales emails and monitor what content helps to create leads and sales so it can be continually improved. You can set up ways to see what your prospects are interested in, so you can personalize the next interaction accordingly. A quick win for lead generation is to upload sales documents, case studies, data sheets into the documents area of HubSpot CRM, get the share link for each document, and add hyperlinks in relevant places throughout your website. As soon as somebody clicks the link on your website to view a document, they enter their email address and they're automatically added into the CRM. Then you have a view in the CRM called inbound leads to see live when you get new leads. It's then a case of doing some research, enriching the person's details in the CRM, so you know first name, phone number, company name, things like that. Then, if they match your ideal customer profile, you can send them a sales campaign, knowing specifically what they're interested in and being able to offer help and add value. Nice. And with the activity stream, you can get all of the latest information on your prospects in real time. So you can call them to follow up instantly. You'll know live when they open an email, click a link in an email, view your website, view a document, and even how long they've spent looking at each page of the document. You can even call them directly from the activity stream. It's all in one place, nice and easy. You keep working in Outlook or Gmail as you would normally, and all these tools plug in. It's about being able to call a prospect when they're engaged so you don't waste your time or theirs. So, for some proof. Well, we could give a lot of different stats, but let's look at some real life cases of one of our clients. Let's just consider that getting your emails opened is absolutely critical to being successful at sales. Email is still the #1 channel for small to medium-sized automotive companies to generate sales. By using all the tools in HubSpot CRM and our industry experience of how to craft sales emails that get results, we get 61% of our sales emails opened. That's 26% higher than our industry average. Let's consider we're not just emailing people that have emailed us. We're not waiting to be contacted. We're using the tools around us to approach leads with the aim of getting in front of them to start the conversation for our clients. HubSpot have found that companies that use the email template and sequence features see an increase of 11% in their email open rates. Do you know your sales email performance? Question mark. I'm not talking about email campaigns from MailChimp. I'm talking about your sales team's one-to-one sales emails. If you don't know this information, then you should. If you do, what would an 11% increase in open rates do to your lead gen and sales performance? So, to finish, we're a sales agency that helps small to medium-sized automotive companies to improve sales and productivity. Take a look at our website for more about using an inbound sales approach. You can also subscribe to our mailing list at thetreegroup.co.uk/news. You can listen to our podcast on iTunes or just search online for our content using #SalesSuperLeague. If you enjoyed this event, you might like our other e-guides and webinars that can be found on our downloads page, as well as a host of free content with sales ideas for small to medium-sized companies to generate sales and improve productivity in automotive. Just go to thetreegroup.co.uk/downloads. Thanks for attending this YouTube live event. We have more coming up in the future, and I hope you can join us at some point then. Thank you. Bye-bye.